Hi everyone. The other day I was talking with someone and they were complaining that they have a very harsh critic in them. They find themselves criticizing people over and over again. And it's something that comes up in the morning, in the afternoon. And I remember that they were saying that there was this, for them in that moment, there was this one person they just couldn't stop judging. And even if they tried to stop, they told themselves it's not good or whatever they did, it would still come back. It was so strong. So if you're someone who has that one or two people in your life, and you're always so harshly judging them, and you can see that every time you do that, you're actually leaking a lot of energy. You feel tired, you don't feel good about yourself. If that's the case, this video will help you out. Because the first thing I want you to know is that if this kind of energy, this kind of pattern is coming up, it's not that you're judging that person because you're bad or you're mean, because that's the first thing that comes up. That is not really something that doesn't define you. Your thoughts do not define you. What is happening in that moment is that there is a boundary, a personal boundary there that you are not aware of, that is hidden behind the judgment, and that you need to go towards, discover, and then integrate, and based on that, make life decisions, right? So if there is a judgment, it's because behind the judgment, there is a personal boundary, a preference, or a value that you have inside of you that you are not aware of. And by integrating that judgmental part, you will become aware of it, right? So that's the thing. So let me give you a very concrete example so that you're clear. So let's say that I have a friend that gossips a lot. And I start judging that person, that friend. Oh my God, she's always gossiping. I hate that she gossips. And then I find that this judgment comes up over and over again. And for many people, I don't like gossip is a boundary. People will go and start saying, I don't like gossip. And it's almost like it's a preference for them. It's a personal boundary, but it's not. It's really not. It's a clue. It's an information that takes you to your boundary, but it's not the boundary itself. Because it's the unwanted. It's like saying, I don't like the color black. So you're going shopping and you're saying, I don't like the color black. So you're going around, I don't like the color black. Is that helpful? Yes, it's a little information, but you need to be clear about what you really want, because otherwise you can't find it. And so now you're focused on all the black colors, on all the black clothes, right? And that's what is happening in your life. It's like you're focusing on the black, on the unwanted, and because you're not clear about the wanted. So what to do? So in that moment, instead of telling myself I shouldn't judge, or bashing myself and judging myself for being judgmental, which is, another loop we go into, I can actually go into the situation and go back to the trigger, go back to a moment where there was, let's say there was, in this case, a judgment that came up. She is gossiping, right? And I can see the gossip happening. And so I can go back into that moment and see what is happening in that moment. When that person gossips, what am I feeling? And maybe in that moment, I feel like my body's on high alert. I don't feel safe. And then maybe I'll start being aware of the thoughts that, oh yeah, because when they gossip, I'm like, oh my God, if she's gossiping about the other person with me, then she's doing the same thing about me. So everything that I tell her, she's going to tell to another person, right? And that doesn't make me safe. I don't like that in a relationship. Do you see how I'm not stuck on the color black, but it's the color black that is giving me more and more information that is getting me closer to what I want. So, okay, so now let's go further on. What would be the ideal situation in that moment based on this, based on the unwanted? That I feel relaxed, that I feel safe. And maybe in that moment, your intuition will give you a few hints. Maybe an old image will come with another friend where you did feel safe. And you start seeing that what you like is a relationship where it's more intimate. It's like a cocoon. Nobody else has to come in, but we can focus on each other. I can talk about myself. She can talk about herself, and we just open up. We don't bring in other people. We don't deflect our attention onto other people, because that's what gossip is about. And so that is what I want. That is a safe relationship. That's the cocoon that I want. And you see, if I'm clear about this, now I can go further on and start telling people about it. Start clearly informing other people of my boundaries. So I can start saying, you know what, when we're together, I love talking about you. I love talking about myself. I love it to be this way or the other way. You will not go into, I don't like gossip kind of attitude, because that's more of a shield. Do you see? It's like, I don't like black. Okay, so what do you like, right? So that's what you're doing, and that's why you get stuck. That's why there's this judgment, because you're stuck in something you don't want. So how can you feel good about it? Because you don't feel good, that comes up, and that feeling and that judgment. Do you see that? I mean, there's nothing random in this universe. There's no mistake. It's, if you go in, you always find this incredible wisdom, gems, diamonds, pearls, whatever. It's just amazing. And so, okay, this is clear. Let me go into to wrap it up, to what you need to do. So let's say the first thing you need to do in this case, when you feel that you're very judgmental and you're leaking energy, is that you take time to uncover it. And the way you do it specifically is, instead of getting rid of the judgment, you welcome it. And the way you welcome it is that you take your time, whether it's alone or with another person, and you can sit down. If you're somebody who's active, very active, then you can walk or do some activity that doesn't require a lot of thinking. You know, an activity like walking, you're just walking on a path that you know, and you don't have to think what you're doing. Because that's helpful, because that keeps your energy flowing. Because in that moment when you're triggered, there is a stuckness, there is this energy that is constricted, and walking can be nice, right? Because it makes that energy flow. Not brisk walk, but slow walk. And again, it has to be something where you don't engage in, it's just your body's walking. Otherwise, you sit down and you take a few deep breaths in and out. You anchor yourself in your body. And the whole idea is for you to be anchored for as long as possible. One way of doing is the walking, that also anchors into the body. And the other way is for you to hold parts of your body, like you can put your hands on your chest, right? And hold it there and feel there. You can feel into other parts of your body, whatever feels better. Try to go again and again back to your body or to your breath. That's what anchors you in the moment. And as you anchor, because otherwise you will go into your head and you'll go all over the place, and you will be at some point in Kazakhstan, at some point judging, at some it's like it goes all over the place. But if you're in your body, you're anchored in the now. That's why this is very important. And as you do that, you then welcome the trigger. So you go back to a moment where that person triggered you, right? And now the judgments are coming up. And you let it come up as you stay anchored in your body. And in that moment, you let the energy express itself. You let the energy live its life out, right? So what you do is, for example, you can record yourself. That's also something that will keep you grounded. Or you can write it down and ask yourself the question, what am I feeling in this moment? And you can even do it now with me, because it's easier usually when you're like the other person is there. And you can start by describing what is happening in your body, because that emotion, that feeling is going to manifest itself in your body. So I feel stuck here, etc., etc. I feel restricted, this and that, and you write it down until you feel a little bit of relief. Then the second part, what are the thoughts that are coming up? Oh, they're so mean, or they're so gossipy, they're so dumb. I don't want to do this. I don't want to think about them. Why am I doing this? This is not working. This is dumb. Whatever it is, all these parts will come up, right? And maybe even old triggers may come up. You just write it. And sometimes you'll have to write the same thing 10 times, 20 times, it doesn't matter, because the mind is going to go, if I wrote it once, it's enough. No, you're letting the energy out. So let it out. And there is a big chance that you have repressed this for a long time. So you give it time, because it's like, oh my God, at last, that part is like, at last I'm free. And so it's going to just, vomit everything out, right? So give it time, in the sense, even in that moment, give it time, but then give it a few days. I would give it like at least a week, right? So that part knows that it can at last come out from that isolation, from that dungeon, you've put it in. The third question you can ask is, what should they be doing? What kind of thoughts should they be thinking? What kind of actions should they be taking, So you're actually advising them, because that's also a judgment, right? And write it down without censorship. Nobody's going to read it. Nobody's going to listen to it, right? It's for you. And write it down, no censorship, let it out, and you'll feel a freedom that you've never felt before. Because that, again, that part is coming out of the dungeons, right? So you do that until you feel relief. And the last one is, ask yourself, what would be the ideal experience? And think about it, and really let your imagination do its work, right? Even if it feels impossible, it doesn't matter. Let it out, because you're going into the, what do I really want? You already have a lot of clues and hints in all of this, and now you're being straightforward with yourself. This is what I want, right? And you write it down, or you record it, or whatever, but let it out. And that's it. That's the whole thing that you need to do. And once you're there, you will start seeing that pressure, that judgment will slowly ebb away. At some point you will forget about it, and 6 months down the line you'll be like, oh, I stopped judging them, or oh, this relationship has changed, or I have an incredible relationship here, and you'll see things will have changed, because your focus is changed. The way you are the filters through which you look at life have changed, and you will start seeing more options. I mean, it really changes a lot. And so just to finish it, the judgment there is very important. It's really telling you about, it's trying to take you to become aware of your personal boundaries. And that's very important if you're someone who wants to create life in a conscious way, and if you're someone who wants to be, you know, empowered, right? So if you have any questions, any comments, let me know down below. If you have a lot of problems with judgments and you need help, you can always book a session with me. I will link, there will be a link in a few days, I think by Thursday, Friday. And that's it. I see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.